हो गए ना अभी 10-12 साल मार्वल और डीसी टाइप के सेल्फ राइचियस दूध से धुले अनरिलेटेबल सुपर हीरोज देखते देखते, तो दो ना अम्ब्रेला एकेडमी, द बॉयज, मोर ऑफ दिस प्लीज. Having said that, है तो ये भी सीरीज, and if you don't remember all the tiny details and larger plots from the previous 2 seasons, Umbrella Academy season 3 will make very little sense. Hey all, my name is Sucharita. This is my channel. You're watching a review, and today I'm talking about the Umbrella Academy season 3, streaming now on Netflix.
Spoiler alert.
तो सीजन 3 शुरू होता है immediately after season 2 का लास्ट फ्रेम. Not a single minute has passed since the Hargreaves returned from 1963 back to 2019 and realized that in this altered future of theirs, Reginald Hargreaves never adopted them. Instead, he adopted 7 different children who are now called the Sparrow Academy. They're all different with new powers. Except Ben is also now a sparrow in this timeline. If you remember in the original story, Ben had been dead, which is what had caused the siblings to separate and go off in their, different directions. Yeah, Allison had become a movie star, Vanya was a violinist, etc., etc. The sparrows of the Sparrow Academy are a lot more powerful than the umbrellas, and they refuse to work together. So umbrellas को अब इनसे लड़ना पड़ेगा. Talk about आसमान से गिरे खजूर में अटके. Also, unbeknownst to everyone, this back and forth in time, unregulated jumps, etc. have birthed a Google Blitz in the basement of the academy, which is a ball of fire which gradually will devour the whole universe because timeline ka balance off hai. Based on comic book series of the same name, why the Umbrella Academy worked for me so hard in the first season was A, because these superheroes were more than a bunch of good-looking crime fighters. They were an actual family. Brothers, sisters. And like any family, they had many unresolved issues they needed to work through and find their way back to each other after years of estrangement. Their father had just died.
Does anyone wish to speak?
He was a monster.
And I'm a big fan of bringing people back together under one roof at a funeral plot device. And then to discover each character as they address their childhood trauma, a collective release after the death of their tormentor. They discover Vanya had written a book about it. It was all just some excellent drama writing. The fact that they were superheroes was incidental to me. B, Mary J. Blige was a murderous, time-traveling sociopath agent of the commission. Kate Walsh was the handler. So season 2 for me was even better because by then we knew everyone deeply. Traveling back in time with all of them separated yet again was incredibly fun. We got a glimpse at how they functioned separately, fighting their individual demons while protecting the world. Allison also goes back to a time where Dallas was still segregated and she uses her powers to join the civil rights movement. You find out the handler's boss is a fish, Reginald Hargreaves is an alien, JFK assassination hinged on the Umbrella 7 finding each other in this world. It was all wonderfully unhinged and yet rooted in reality in the best ways superhero stories are, except it was darker. Season 3 was set to pick all of this back up and run with it. Except it stalls and shudders to a stop right after episode 1. जिसके बाद 3 episode तक I found very little entertainment. It is what I call the Stranger Things and Sudal problem. If you don't commit to seeing the show through, you might not get to the ending payoff because the build-up is tedious, it's overstuffed, and it is very stretched. So here, until the Google Blitz is discovered, it's mostly the umbrellas fighting against the sparrows, which might sound interesting on paper but wasn't very interesting to watch. Sure, you get to see some more enhanced individuals with newer powers, poisonous Thook, gravity control, and someone who seems to have incorporated Newton's third law of motion into his defenses. But what made the show so unique? That is the bizarre commission. The group of people controlling the timeline, responsible for all of humanity, making sure every historical event went according to plan. All of that is missing, at least initially. What keeps the show going are excellent acting performances and production design. All of it is very good to look at. Elliot Page's transition from Vanya to Victor is written in smoothly with the help of guest writer Thomas Page McPhee, who's a trans man himself. I loved that the subplot enters the screenplay seamlessly and it doesn't become the central plot line of an episode. There is no over-the-top melodrama around it, and Victor continues to be the badass but emotional fool he's always been.
You talked with the enemy? By yourself?
Yeah, well, somebody had to do something.
Who elected you, Vanya?
It's, Victor.
As usual, Elliot remains extremely watchable and the biggest star of the show, but also Tom Hopper as Luther gets a way more defined arc this season, and he moves from simply being brute man from the moon. His heart is as big as his body and he becomes the conduit for all the Hargreaves to express their love for each other, buried deep down, only expressed via Luther. Robert Sheehan as Klaus is a scene stealer if I've ever seen one. How effortlessly he moves from being a cult leader to a lost man looking for his mother is incredible. Perhaps the most haunted of the superheroes, pun intended, we get to see more insights into Klaus's connection with the afterlife, and it's all very, very fun. You know, it's like the whole cast is hell-bent on being the best performer of the ensemble. In Gallagher as Five is more menacing and weird than before. Remember that whole romance Five had with a mannequin? This season lets him take that insanity many notches higher. Also super good, Ritu Arya as Lila. Remember Diego had met her at a mental asylum last season? She is back for so much more, kicking ass most nonchalantly, and she gets the sharpest one-liners of the show. My favorite is, he's a few sandwiches short of a picnic, but he'll do. I didn't particularly like Allison in this one. She felt more forced than natural. You know, her angst didn't feel justified. Her relationship with her brother Victor is supposed to be the emotional anchor of this whole thing, but unfortunately, it just didn't work for me. The show has a really fun setting this time though. Instead of out and about in the world, all the Hargreaves are more or less confined within Hotel Obsidian this time. Obsidian. As the world around them gets engulfed slowly by the Google Blades. This setting is the perfect amount of weird and opulent and a great backdrop for nefarious time traveling and murder. I believe the writing of this show has now sped past the speed with which the comic book series are being published. The Sparrow characters and most of the storyline in this season has been brought to life for the Netflix series. Print stories are yet to follow. Make of that what you will, but I think it might be one of the reasons why this season feels the weakest and most haphazard of them all. If you've been waiting for Umbrella Academy Season 3, I would recommend power through the first 3 to 4 episodes and get to the good stuff. Sit through the opening episode dance off and then 3 or 4 more dance sequences in the entire show. For real, there's a lot of dancing. Don't ask questions like, where are they getting new clothes to wear every day? How is everybody suddenly dressed perfectly for this wedding sequence? And maybe you'll get to a point where you enjoy this season. The last episode also has a mid-credit scene, and the tease for what the next season holds, I found interesting enough for me to stick around with the show for one more season. I will. But if that sounds like too much work, Stranger Things Volume 2 आ रहा है इस weekend पर. Also The Boys Season 3 चालू है on Amazon. उसका finale आने वाला है, which also subverts superheroes just in a much better way, at least compared to the Umbrella Academy Season 3. So on a scale of 1 to 10, the Umbrella Academy Season 3 is one subplot I didn't understand. Lila shows up in 2019 saying Diego and her had a son 12 years ago. But 12 years ago, meaning in 2007, Diego and Layla hadn't met. So why does he believe her? Someone explain what happened there, na please. ये time travel अब नहीं होता मुझसे follow. It is too much work. You're asking too much of me. I won't do it. No, but you do one काम please. Subscribe करके जाना यहाँ से जाने से पहले. My face will appear here somewhere इस पौधे के आसपास. तो उस पे click करोगे and you will subscribe, and then there's also a bell icon that you can click so you'll get a notification of as soon as I start talking about Stranger Things and Boys and Rocketry. Lots of stuff coming up this weekend, okay?